What is going on, guys? We are back with another video today, and we're doing something a little different. As you can tell by the thumbnail or the title, we're going to predict the Madden 22 rookie ratings for the first rounders and a couple of sleeper picks. Mainly, just getting a video up just to quench our thirst for Madden 22, or our franchise, our rookie thirst, the ratings that'll come out at some point. Of course, I also have dev projections, which, it could really go any way. Obviously, the guys have their own ideas of who they think is the best. We could see, Lawrence at X Factor. We could see him at Superstar. We could see, Fields at Superstar with Trey Lance being normal. You never know how it's going to go, but these are the projections for myself. Of course, not all the players are, built by me. They're all built by, whatever draft class we downloaded. I don't even know. But I changed some of the ratings. And, of course, with the first one being Trevor Lawrence, I can confirm to you right here that I do not project Trevor Lawrence to be the highest overall in Madden 22. And I think there is a good chance that he could actually be in the 80s. Maybe 80, 81 overall, maybe even 82 or higher. But the way the ratings go now, I think this is fair, especially with the way the devs have went this season, at least in Madden, where it seems like the overalls weren't super high, the devs weren't super high, but breakouts were very common for the youngsters, like the rookies, and you obviously got XP with those dev ups. So I think this is fair, but you could easily make the argument for 80, 81, 82, 83. I'd say the highest I would see is in 84, but 78 overall I think is very fair, especially with Superstar. Could you see X Factor? Probably could see it. But I think EA, in my opinion, we probably should have put his throw power up a little bit. In my opinion, would like to keep the Superstar X Factors off of the quarterbacks. But, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. But this is what I kind of project him to be. Sleight of hand closer. I didn't change the abilities, I'll be honest. So, Trevor Lawrence, a 78 overall Superstar development. Once again, let me know what you guys think. Looking back at this, maybe he should be a little bit higher. I'm actually going to say I think he's going to be an 80 overall flat Superstar X Factor, which would put him at either 2 or 3 for X Factors on my list here. I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? He is that good. Let's make him an X Factor with 80 overall. I think that's pretty fair. Now we move on to the second pick overall, Mr. Zach Wilson, a guy that I give Superstar development trait with a 76 overall, super fair in my opinion. A lot of these ratings aren't going to be super accurate, like I said in the past many times. I'm not huge into the scouting process. I just don't have the time for it. Maybe one day. I don't have the resources for it, but I probably could, find them. But 76 overall, Zach Wilson, Superstar. Once again, in the comment section below, let me know, what do you think of each pick, or if there's an egregious one, I suppose. Like this one could be your least favorite, especially if you're a Niners fan. Trey Lance, a 73 overall, looking like he's in his late 30s. Star development trait player this time. Decently fast. Kind of built like Russell Wilson here, so I think it's I think it's fair. I could definitely see a 73 overall, probably about 74, 75 though. And now we move over to the highest overall player on my list here, I believe, which is Kyle Pitts, who has an X Factor development trait grade. Absolutely insane. Everyone says he's the best non-quarterback player in the draft. Once again, do I think the Falcons should have taken him? Probably not, but I suppose if you don't want to work on your defense, the best defense is an offense that's physically unable to be stopped other than their O-line. I guess, I suppose. Didn't change any of the juke ability stuff, but 79 overall, which I think is very accurate. I had him as the highest overall before Trevor Lawrence, and I still think he could probably be the highest overall, but a 79 overall X-Factor tight end Kyle Pitts, who is just a guy that will not be stopped in Madden franchise. Like I said, back on the offensive side of things, Mr. Jamar Chase, a 78 overall Superstar development trait wide receiver, looking as follows. Absolutely god tier. Did you really need it, though, if you're Cincinnati? Maybe, maybe not. If you're playing the game of Madden, in my opinion, I'm not a huge fan of top, high overall wide receivers. You can pretty much develop anyone, but I suppose even the worst of players can make Jamar Chase good. So if you're not super great with getting wide receivers, I guess that 78 overall Superstar, in my opinion, Jamar Chase is that guy. And a 77, 78 overall is what I would expect, no less. Then we have Jalen Waddle, another 77 overall. Well, maybe not another 77 overall, but another superstar development trait player. You could have easily seen him go over Jamar Chase. You really never know. Very fast player. Just simply a burner, I suppose. There's a lot of, kind of similar to the CD Lamb, Jerry Jeudy draft. Superstar development trait for both of those guys. Could even see Devonta Smith at superstar. I didn't see him as a superstar. I know that's not where he goes here, but we're on the topic of wide receivers, so might as well get them down. I put him at a star dev, which is debatable. Very good route runner, obviously. I think the weight is a bit of an issue. Obviously, that's like the big thing, and we'll see how that actually comes to play. But overall, star dev, 76 overall for the Heisman winner. I mean, I don't hate it, right? Then we have the first offensive lineman of many in the first round, Sewell, who I think is very fair to say superstar development trait, but maybe you see him as a star if you're EA. I'm not 100% sure, but obviously this makes the Lions very usable. Well, I wouldn't say it makes them very usable, but it definitely helps out a lot. In my opinion, if you would have taken an argument that maybe they should have went for Devonta Smith, as far as a Madden franchise guy, I would definitely rather have Sewell. I'd rather have the offensive lineman who's likely to be superstar dev, which is just, unless they actually fix it, is just literally something you can't build, whereas a guy like Devonta Smith, especially with potential low injury and or toughness ratings because of that weight, you can build. All right, now we go with the first cornerback off the list. I think this is going to be another situation where we have the dual superstar dev corners. J.C. Horn to the Panthers. Not a bad player, but a questionable pick for what they needed. I would have liked to see, especially as a Packers fan, I would have liked to see them take Fields, but they didn't. This is where we would have expect him to be a 76 overall superstar, which is a win for franchise. Definitely not the biggest need of theirs, so I'm a little questionable there, but, good player, should be superstar. The old C.J. Henderson Okudah. Here's our Okudah here, even though he's a little bit later, not even a little bit, like literally one pick after. 76 overall as well, superstar, a little bit slower, slightly better in coverage, or very similar in coverage anyways. I believe he will also be a superstar development trait player. Could have seen them interchangeably go. And you can see, one pick after the other. As the Broncos, just like apparently the Panthers, can't have enough corners. I wouldn't say the Panthers are really on that ship necessarily, but with Boye, they probably didn't need to take Horn. Now we move on to the first steal of the draft, quote unquote. Maybe Sewell can be counted as a steal. Maybe, I guess Devonta Smith would actually be a steal as well, technically. But the biggest steal so far, Justin Fields, a guy who I would expect to be a 75, maybe 76 overall, right on par with Mr. Wilson. A lot of the arguments for him falling a little bit, didn't really fall that bad. Falling a little bit here is that he had character issues. I'm not really sure. People trying to defame this guy. But 76 overall, I believe I did give him star, but obviously with that insane speed, pretty damn good accuracies, he's obviously an absolute beast. And I have already done a Bears franchise, but if I didn't, man, that would be kind of a cool guy. The Bears for franchise went from bottom 3 team that people would want to use to probably a top 5-ish team just for that speed alone. Now we move on to pick 12, Mr. Micah Parsons, a guy you don't know where the hell he's going to play, but we do know is he should have high potential, and obviously for franchise he's going to be a god, whether he's star, superstar, doubtably X Factor, but you never know. Dual styles, what do you want to do with him? If I'm playing as the Cowboys, though, I'm probably going to leave him in coverage just because you can't really replicate. You can replicate the speed and whatnot, but you can't really replicate the speed with the size. And, of course, his change of direction should be much higher than pretty much any rookie linebacker you're going to be able to draft in the game. Overall, though, superstar development trait 75 overall, I think, is very fair. Could see the overall higher or even lower if they don't feel like he does one thing particularly well enough. So now I move on to another steal of the draft, and I'm going to make the argument that Slater is going to be a superstar as well. With Sewell, 76 overall, slightly lower than overall. They could have been interchangeable. There was a lot of late rumors that he would have actually went above him, and instead he does not, but still a steal for the Chargers. And of course, the Chargers get better in franchise, 76 overall superstar. Now we have a very solid, versatile guy, but I think he's just going to barely miss getting to superstar. I still think he's going to be super solid, and the Jets made a pretty damn good decision, especially after drafting what would assume to be their franchise quarterback. Now we go with the draft's biggest reach so far at this point, Mr. Mac Jones, a guy that kind of was overhyped, and really overhyped, because there was real reports from, credible sources that he was going to go number 3. I don't know what that was about. Maybe the Niners were trying to make some sort of play. I don't know what it was about, but a guy that probably shouldn't even have went in the first round, but goes at 15 to the Patriots out of pretty much desperation. Cam was heating up pretty well before, the COVID situation, but overall, you got to think that Cam's, he could be the future there, but I don't think he's the future, and obviously the Patriots really don't either, as Mac Jones goes 15. I would not expect him to be higher than normal. 70 overall may be harsh, but I could see him being a pretty low overall. Still definitely workable, and, if you're a Patriots user, you're likely going to use him just because Cam isn't really workable, even though he's really fun, so that's what I think about Mac Jones. Let me know if you're like a huge Mac Jones fan and you're absolutely despising me right now. Zaven Collins, a guy I really don't know a whole lot about, to be honest. Kind of like a poor man's Micah Parsons, I suppose. But didn't really run super great at the combine, so we gave him like 85, 87 excel, 85 speed, 87 excel. Could see lower than that, especially if they base it off of their Madden, their in-game ratings for 40 times and all that. But overall, hidden development trait. Supposedly playing on the inside, but I think playing him on the outside as like a starter and you could do whatever you want with him is probably the move in Madden. And then we have ourselves another reach, Mr. Alex Leatherwood, normal development, 70 overall here. Not bad. He's workable, but if you're using the Raiders, you're a Raiders fan, and you want to use the rookies, you're going to be pretty disappointed because unless they add a DevUp system, which they should for O-linemen, you're kind of stuck with them here. We have the Dolphins with Jaylen Phillips, who did not save at all, by the way. I put him as a 76 overall star. Most people would say he's probably the best edge rusher in the draft class. So overall, that's kind of where we're sitting at right now. The Dolphins keep getting better in Madden, especially with the trade down. The trade moves, really. The Dolphins balling out. Once again, I'm not a huge fan of rookie wide receivers that are already developed, so I don't know if I'd really want the Dolphins on my list. I think they're just too good already in Madden. But Jaylen Phillips, looking like a boss. Obviously a guy you want to use and maybe target if you're not doing like a traditional franchise. Now we move on to Jamin Davis. Is Jamin? I don't even know. But 70 overall normal. Very usable with the athletic attributes. But overall, I don't think he's going to be hidden. He very well could be. This is kind of like a 50-50 one call for me. This is probably the one we'll be off by the most. But super athletic, raw, but definitely usable. I think it was a little bit of a surprise during the draft, right? I think it was a little bit of a surprise. Now we move on to the Giants, a very agile wide receiver, Cadarius Toney, who I think has got a lot of potential, but he is a little raw, and his development trait I think would be normal. I don't see EA giving like every single wide receiver in the class star or better just because it was a very deep class. So I think he would probably be one of the first to kind of get quote-unquote snubbed. Aggressive catch, I don't know if he would get that. I'd probably say just run after the catch, maybe possession. Super agile, though. Definitely a guy who would be fun to use. Don't know what that 40 time, that speed actually is going to be. It could really go either way, but definitely a fun player. Once again, this is the kind of guy you would like to get in the 3rd or a 4th round. Not that I'm saying in real life it was a bad decision, but in Madden, speaking of, when you're picking a team, you want the team to probably take, stud players like the fast linebackers or a sick corner and whatnot. Kadarius Toney isn't great for Madden terms, but overall, he's still, he's good. They have Kwity Paye. The Colts kind of, this is kind of a guy that was like almost slotted to them from the very get-go. As far as non-top 5, top 10 picks go, this man, he was almost like destined to go to Indianapolis. It's really crazy because they had a really low draft pick or, far away draft pick. So him going to 21 made a lot of sense. Star development trade, I think, just barely reaches that dev. Maybe not really barely, but probably deserves it. Very solid player, and if you're a Colts user, finally getting someone usable. You got Toure, who's never really been great for Madden, and you got a couple of guys there. Then you got Caleb Farley, hidden development trade. I'd expect that from the Titans. You would expect his injury and or toughness to go down. I would say maybe injury would be 86, toughness 84, which is rough, especially in Madden where you can't really upgrade those things necessarily, but definitely could be superstar. Before the back injury concerns and all that, or the surgery anyways, definitely could have been like the 2nd corner, maybe even the 1st corner off the board. So makes sense that he's down here, a risky player. Injury toughness should be lower, but dev should still be pretty high, same with overall. Then you have Darisaw, the slide ended, star development trait, huge plays for the Vikings. When I seen Darisaw with the trade down, I was like, this could be our team. You know, you got a couple of names here, 3-4 guys that are going to be star or better. Well, maybe not star or better, but star dev to work with on the O-line, which obviously has been a big problem in Minnesota. Darisaw is a god, especially for run blocking, almost at stopping. And then you go to the Steelers, a team that just basically drafted like a Madden user. He has star dev, I believe. I didn't want to give him superstar because EA has been giving mainly star dev to running backs, but their overalls have been really high. So 77 overall for Najee Harris, pretty much 91 across the board for speed and all that. You know, decently trucky, good stiff arm, okay juke and spin. You know, okay receiving abilities as well. Probably a little bit too good on those receiving traits, but it doesn't really matter here. I mean, I don't know which way they're going to do it, but, you know, it could be any way. Then you have the Jaguars, who have Travis Etienne, who very well could be a wide receiver and probably will be a wide receiver to start Madden, as that's kind of what they've been practicing him as. Very, very solid. Probably going to be a bit better speed than his 40 time would suggest. Kind of a dual threat, but mainly juke ability and obviously receiving ability. I did have those ratings higher than that. I had like 77 catching and a couple other things. Very solid, obviously, and you know, I would assume you can kind of choose running back, wide receiver, assuming EA doesn't sell like they usually do. Greg Newsome, a guy in real life that probably should be better than Eric Stokes, but for Madden terms, I don't see him having hidden. Maybe he will, but I don't see him having hidden. So once we get to Eric Stokes, you'll see that technically he is better because of the athletic attributes. But at the same time, that's always how Madden has been. Solid, you know, or better out the gate, like smart ratings, you know, man coverage, zone coverage, and all that. But, you know, pretty basic, nothing special. You know, we're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of the first round here, so, you know, kind of expected. Now we have Bateman. I might have scammed him a bit, but 72 overall, solid receiver, normal development trait, though. Once again, I don't know how many guys are going to give, you know, hidden or better or star or better for wide receivers. There was a lot taken in the first round, so I don't know. I'd see like maybe a guy like Elijah Moore in the second round to the Jets would be hidden, so Jets could be really solid. They should have 3 hiddens at least in the draft. Then we move on to what most would dub as the worst draft pick of the first round, Mr. Peyton Turner. Who knows, but it seems like a massive reach. So I gave him normal development trait, nothing really special here. I mean, you're okay with it, I guess, as a Saints fan. You would expect, you know, or a Saints user, I suppose, you would expect him to be kind of on the lower side. It's a late first-round pick anyways, on top of a reach. Now we move on to Stokes, who I was trying to put at 71, but the speed ratings alone kind of made it just really hard to do. 96 speed, 96 excel, 93 agility, I think are very fair. You could maybe even make an argument for faster. 72 man, 67 zone. Look at the play rec, the awareness. I couldn't really make him any worse. I feel like that's pretty fair. As far as Eric Stokes' dev, I'd imagine normal dev because he was a decent bit of a reach as well. At least one would assume. I mean, you never know. Maybe Peyton Turner was the highest guy on Buffalo's board. You never know, but overall, Eric Stokes is definitely one of those guys you want in Madden franchise because he's just a speed demon. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Eric Stokes is just as good as every other corner in the class that isn't hidden. Now, a guy that I just don't know his name still, Gregory Rowe. Is it Rousseau? I would say Russo, but I don't know. You know, people say their names however they want. So, Mr. Gregory here, hidden development, 73 overall, a steal for the Bills, and should be very good in Madden. Makes them definitely even better because, you know, they are a really good team in real life, but they do have a bit of an aging D-line outside of like one piece, basically, so that's actually a huge win. I mean, look at these projections, right? Like Epinesa, Basham, who you'd probably slide over to DT to play with Ed Oliver. I'd probably have Rousseau and Jerry Hughes with Ed Oliver and Basham. So, I mean, that's what I would have at least. Then we have one of our Rams favorites, even though he's not a Ram in real life, Mr. OA, Jason OA, super fast. This year's Montez Sweat, basically. There was a lot of fast guys. It just keeps getting faster and faster every year in general. But Jason OA looking like a beast. Of course, a little more raw, but super fast. A lot to work with and should be OP as hell. And then a pick I'm not super fond of, I made Joe Tryon, just a normal development, 70 overall. I don't really think there's anything super special with the pick yet. You never know how any of these guys are going to go, though, so who knows. Joe Tryon, 70 overall. And then I did have a couple of the steals that were, you know, probably players that should have went in the first round. You could have made the argument that Tevin should have went instead of Leatherwood. Bears, Tevin Jenkins, 73 overall star. you'd expect that. There's some other guys that, maybe aren't on my list here, but, should have been on here. You go to the Browns, you have Owusu Koromoa, very fast. I'd expect something around 90 speed, 90 excel. I did have him as a star dev. I'm not really sure what happened here, but I did have him as a star dev. We had Christian Barmore as a 74 overall hidden player. You get a little bit of redemption for the Mac Jones pick with Christian Barmore. Not even a little bit, a lot of a redemption, real life and in-game. So hidden development there. Steal pick. And I can't remember if there was some other ones like Trayvon Moehrig. There's a lot of guys that will be, hidden. But, no, like, blatant steals, I suppose, that I missed. Maybe, actually, let me look real quick. I might have missed someone. Like Asante Samuel, you'd probably consider a steal. Really big win for the Chargers, and if you're a user for them. But yeah, nothing really outside of that. Let me know what you guys think of the ratings for pretty much the first round, and then a couple of steals. Let me know who I got completely wrong. Let me know how many guys you think I got completely right. We'll see. Maybe even compare to this once Madden 22 actually drops or the ratings actually drop. We can compare to this. This video definitely took a lot longer than I thought, especially since a lot of the stuff we were saying really wasn't special. Honestly, we made this video way longer than it should have been. I apologize for that, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed it nevertheless. We'll have a video a little bit later today, Rams franchise, and then we'll most likely have a stream on twitch.tv/Jeromepkr again at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. I was a little late yesterday, but like a couple minutes. I don't know if I mentioned PKR Plays as a second channel. Could be a video up there later today. Most likely tomorrow, though. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Suggest something with the rookies if you have anything you thought of. Or just in anything in general. I had an idea to do a limited franchise thing, which probably could work for next Madden, but I actually kind of like it as a limited idea, so I might do it. I also have to get on that Washington football team, 10-year rebuild or sim, whatever we want to do with that. Maybe follow me on Twitter, Jeromepkr. Maybe there's an Amazon affiliate link, top line in the description, or the pinned comment where you click it and buy something within 24 hours, and I get 17 cents, whatever Monopoly Man wants to give me. Regardless, thanks for watching. Sorry for making it so long. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys come back for next video. But until next video,